in the first chapter, we started Two Gentlemen of Verona. We finished that already.
Okay, so this you're telling from the book First Flight or Footprints Without Feet.
What, ma'am?
There are two literature books, right? First Flight and Footprints Without Feet.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is from which book? First Flight?
Ma'am, all I know is that it's not from the main course book.
It's not from the main course book. Then,
Ma'am, because I don't have the textbook, but I know what chapters we're doing.
okay. Wait. You said the sermon at Benares.
Two Gentlemen of Verona.
Two Gentlemen of Verona. I cannot find this chapter in the book. So they are not referring any of these two NCRTs in your school?
No, ma'am, we're doing CBSE.
Yes, Leann. Are they not referring any of the NCRTs? That is, Flight and Footprints.
They aren't.
Then which book are they referring to?
No, they are, ma'am, but I don't know what the name of the book is.
Okay, then no problem. You have this textbook only, no? First
I don't
Flight.
have the textbook, but I know the chapters. It's called Literature Reader.
Okay, give me 1 minute, okay? I'll be right back to you.
Yeah.
Yes, Leann, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just want to know that, do you have these two books in your syllabus or not? First Flight and Footprints Without.
No, no, ma'am. We were not introduced.
Okay, 1 second, just one.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Leann, can you tell me the name of your English textbook?
Literature reader or fiction?
Okay. Can you please share that textbook and the syllabus, your English syllabus, with the operations team?
Ma'am, yeah, I'll go right now.
Yeah, yeah. Just share it right away, okay?
Yeah. Ma'am,
Yes.
just to make sure, I have to send them the English syllabus and
English syllabus and your textbook, the
okay,
PDF of your textbook.
okay.
Leann, have you shared? Leann, are you there? Leann, can you hear my voice? Leann, am I audible? Leann, are you there? Leann, am I audible to you?
I'm sorry. I was sending the PDFs to the team.
Oh, okay, okay, no problem.
They already received it.
Yeah, okay. Just allow me 1 minute, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
They've just shared it with me. So you've completed this first chapter in your class. This has been completed or it's ongoing?
No, it's completed.
Okay, it's completed. Great. Okay. So before proceeding to the chapter, I want to ask you the summary of the chapter. Can you describe the chapter in brief? What all have you understood from this chapter?
Uh, can I say like, not like I can't really do a proper summary, but I can tell like random information if that's fine.
Sorry.
I can't really do the proper summary, but I'll try doing random information, like
Yeah,
just
see, you don't have to give me the exact text that is written in your book. I just want
okay.
to know that how much you have understood from the story. Just a highlight of the story, that what is going on in the story, how many characters are there. Just like
Yeah.
this. Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
So the narrator was driving to the Alps and found two small boys, The the elder one, who was 13 years old, was named the other one was Nicolo, and then the other one, the youngest one, who was 12 years old, is named Jacopo. Then
Hmm.
uh, um, then they were selling wild strawberries,
They were doing some small jobs like selling fruits, shining shoes, guiding the
and they
tourists.
were like taking visitors to different towns or to the same town.
Yeah.
And then uh, they have a big sister named they have a big sister named Lucia. They uh, she had tuberculosis, so she was in a hospital. They wanted to visit her, so the younger sibling asked the narrator to take them there to the hospital, and the narrator took, and uh, I don't know how to explain the rest. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Now, when the narrator got to know the two boys' story, he was very much, although they were very poor, shabby, they had a very shabby appearance, but still the narrator was very interested in those two boys because they were very hard working. As they were doing various jobs, they were selling fruits, they were shining shoes, polishing people's shoes, they were guiding tourists in the village, across the village. So they were working tirelessly. Now, by seeing these efforts, the narrator became very interested in the boys' story. So he followed them to their village, where they took him to the hospital, where the nurse told them that the two boys lost their father in the war and they had an elder sister who was suffering from tuberculosis. So, to pay for her treatment, she was admitted in the hospital, and to pay for her treatment, they were doing all these various jobs. They were working very hard to get their sister treated. And by knowing all this, the narrator he was very touched by those boys. They were how selfless they were, how loving they were towards their sister, because they were working tirelessly to get her treated. So he was very touched. And yeah, by seeing the two boys, their hard work, their dedication towards their sister. All right, so this is the story. You gave me the correct briefing. Now, since you've already completed the story, do you want me to again go through the text all over again? Your mic is off. Or should we
Sorry.
start with questions?
Ma'am, just a quick learning, then we can start with questions. So I
Okay,
could
just
just
quick
make
learning.
sure.
Okay, so by quick learning, should we read the whole chapter again?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So you can read the chapter. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, and we'll discuss each of the paragraph one by one. Clear?
Yes.
Okay, please start reading from the first paragraph.
Okay. Um, Two gentlemen of Verona. As we drove through the foothills of the Alps, two small boys stopped us on the outskirts of Verona. Um, they were selling wild strawberries. Don't buy, warned Luigi, our cautious driver. You will get fruit much better in Verona. Besides these boys, he shrugged his shoulders to convey his disapproval of their shabby appearance. One boy
Okay,
had,
now what happened? They have started with the introduction that as the narrator drove through the foothills of the Alps, then he saw two boys. He came across two boys who were um, selling wild strawberries. Okay. Now the narrator's driver told disapproved the narrator that because the driver doesn't want it, that the narrator should buy the strawberries from the boys. Because why did he disapprove of the two boys?
because of the shabby appearance.
Yeah, because they had a shabby appearance. So he thought we can get better strawberries in the
Verona.
Verona. Yeah, go ahead.
One boy had on a worn jersey and cut-off khaki pants. The other a shortened army tunic gathered in loose folds about his skinny frame. Yet, gazing at the two little figures with their brown skins, tangled hair, and dark, earnest eyes, we felt ourselves strangely attracted. My companion spoke to the boys, discovered that they were brothers. Nicola, the elder, was 13. Jacopo, who barely came up to the door handle of the car, was nearly 12. We bought their biggest basket, then set off toward town.
Now, this paragraph 4 is very important because this
It
paragraph
is
has
information about them and describes their appearance
the character sketch of the boys, their appearance
and
of
their
the
age.
boys. Okay, it's describing their character, their appearance, their look, their age. Okay,
Yes. Ma'am, do I continue read?
yeah.
Okay. The next morning, coming out of our hotel, we saw our friends bent over shoe shine boxes beside the fountain in the public square, doing a brisk business. We watched for a few moments, then as trade slackened, we went over. They greeted us with friendly faces. I thought you picked fruit for a living, I said. We do many things, sir, Nicola answered, seriously. He glanced at us hopefully. Often we show visitors through the town to Juliet's tomb and other places of interest. All right, I smiled. You take us along.
Now,
As
the
yeah,
next morning, the narrator noticed that the two boys were the same two. He spotted the same two boys who were selling strawberries yesterday. Now he asked them that I thought you used to sell strawberries. But then the boys told them that we do many things. We often take the visitors to the Juliet's tomb and other places of interest. So shall we take you along? So the narrator happily agreed that okay, take me along with you. All right.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. As we made the rounds, my interest was again provoked by their remarkable demeanor. They were childish enough, and in many ways quite artless. Jacobo was lively as a squirrel. Nicola's smile was steady and engaging. Yet in both these boyish faces, there was a seriousness which was far beyond their years. In the week which followed, we saw them frequently, for they proved extremely useful to us. If we wanted a pack of American cigarettes, or seats for the opera, or the name of a good restaurant, Nicola and Jacopo could be relied upon to satisfy our needs. What struck one most was their willingness to work. During these summer days, under the hot sun, they shined shoes, sold fruit, hawked newspapers, conducted tourists around the town, and ran errands.
Now the narrator was very happy with the two boys around him because whenever he needed any sort of help, like whenever he needed a pack of American cigarettes, or he needed to book an opera seat, or he wanted a name for a good restaurant, then the two boys always helped him. Okay, now he was very much um, impressed by their willingness to work because they were involved in various activities. And he was also provoked by their remarkable demeanor. Demure, sorry. So, what is the meaning of demure? It means appearance of someone. So, they had a very remarkable appearance by which the narrator was very impressed, very provoked. Now, in paragraph 10, they have described the nature of the two boys, right? That
Yes,
they
ma'am.
were childish enough, and in many ways, they were quite artless.
Artless.
Artless means
Um,
innocent, right?
yes,
Nature of
ma'am.
the boys is described, right? So they were childish, they were innocent. The Jacopo was very lively, lively. Now they have compared him with the squirrel. Why with the squirrel? It's written that
Mm,
Jacopo was lively as a squirrel.
that's correct.
What does this mean?
It means that he was as energetic as a squirrel,
Yes,
or
lively
more
as a
positive.
yeah. Have you seen a squirrel? How
Yes, ma'am.
energetic, fast, and playful she is.
Yes,
Similarly,
ma'am.
Jacopo was very lively. Now,
Yes.
Nicola's smile was steady and engaging. Nicola was quiet, but when he smiled, his smile was very engaging. Okay.
Yes.
Yet, in both these boyish faces, there was seriousness which was far beyond their years. Now, with all this childishness and innocence, there was a seriousness on their face which was far more than their years, which means they were very young, but that seriousness was very mature, as if it's on a face of a very mature, very old person. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next.
Uh, stru- what struck one most was their willingness to work. During these summer days, under the hot sun, they shined shoes, sold fruit, hawked newspapers, conducted tourists around the town, and ran errands. One night, we came upon them in the windy and deserted square, resting on the stone pavement beneath the lights. Nicola sat upright, tired. A bundle of unsold newspapers lay at his feet. Jacopo, his head resting upon his brother's shoulders, was asleep. It was nearly midnight. Why are you out so late, Nicola? Waiting for the last bus from Padua. We shall sell all our papers when it comes in. Must you work so hard? You both look rather tired. We are not complaining, sir. For next morning, when I went over to the fountain to have my shoes shined, I said, Nicola, the way you and Jacopo work, you must earn quite a bit. You spend nothing on clothes. You eat little enough. When I say you have a meal, it's usually black bread and figs. Tell me, what do you do with your money? He colored deeply under his sunburn, then grew pale. He looked to the ground. You must be saving up to emigrate to America, I suggested. He looked at me sideways, spoke with an effort. We should greatly like to go to the States, but here at present we have other plans. What plans? He smiled uncomfortably. Just plans, sir, he answered in a low voice. Well, I said, we're leaving on Monday. Is there anything I can do for you before we go?
Okay.
Nicholas, yeah,
That's it. Now, one night the narrator saw them. They were sitting on a footpath under a street light. They were looking very tired. When the narrator asked them that what are you doing here, so they told them that we are waiting for the last bus to a stop named Padua. We will sell the leftover newspapers in the bus. Okay. So the narrator asked them that you look very tired. You should take some rest. Okay, why are you still waiting for the bus and still want to sell the newspapers? Now the narrator is curious. That is why he is asking the two boys that you do so many jobs. You must be earning very well. Then what do you do with your money? Because you don't spend it on your clothes, you don't spend it on your food. You always seem to be eating that black bread and figs, the same sort of food every time. You are wearing the same shabby clothes every day. What are you doing with your money? Are you saving it up to go to the US? So the boys are telling him that we would like to go to the US, but here we have other plans. Now the narrator has become interested that what plans? So they are trying to avoid that just plans. Okay, they don't want to tell him that what are the plans exactly. Please go ahead.
Then
From
Nicola shook
20.
his head, but suddenly Jacopo said, "Sir," he burst out, "every Sunday we make a visit to the country, to Poletta, 30 kilometers from here. Usually we hire bicycles, but tomorrow, since you are so kind, you might send us in your car." I had already told Luigi he might have the Sunday off. However, I answered, "I'll drive you out myself." There was a pause. Nicola was glaring at his young brother in vexation. We could
Vexation.
vexation, sorry. "We could not think of troubling you, sir. It won't be any trouble." He bit his lip, then in a rather put out tone, he said, "Very well." The following afternoon we drove to the village set high upon the hillside. I imagined that our destinations would be some humble dwellings, but directed by Jacopo, we drew up to a large roofed villa surrounded by a high stone wall. I could scarcely believe my eyes, and before I could recover my breath, my two passengers had leaped from the car.
Okay. Now, the narrator asked them, he was asking them that what are the plans? So one of the brothers stay quiet, but the other one burst out that he just told him some story, some part of the story that every Sunday we make a visit to the country. It's 30 kilometers from here. We hire bicycles. Now he's asking the narrator that you're so kind. Can you please drop us in your car? So the narrator is telling them that my drivers is having an off on Sunday, but I'll drive you myself to the city. Right? Now the elder brother is looking at his younger brother in a furious manner. Vexation means an anger, frustration. That why are you asking a favor from the narrator, right? So he's telling the narrator that we are not thinking, we don't want to trouble you. Okay, the narrator is now telling them that it won't be any trouble. I'll drop you myself. So now they are set out to Poleta. The narrator is driving the two boys to Poleta. So it's a tiny village which is on hillside. Now the narrator was imagining that our destination would be some sort of beautiful place, some humble dwellings. But as they reached, they drew up at a large red roofed villa surrounded by a high stone wall. It was not as pleasing as the narrator was imagining the place would be, right? Okay, continued from paragraph 32.
"We shall not be long, sir. Perhaps only an hour. Maybe you'd like to go to the cafe in the village for a drink." They disappeared beyond the corner of the wall. After a few minutes, I followed. I found a grilled side entrance and determinedly rang the bell. A pleasant looking woman with steel rimmed spectacles appeared. I blinked as I saw that she was dressed in the white uniform of a trained nurse. I just brought to the I just brought two small boys here. Ah, yes, her face lit up. She opened the door to admit me. "Nicola and Jacopo, I will take you up." She led me through a cool, tiled vestibule into the hospital. For hospital, the villa had become. At the door of a little cubicle, the nurse paused, put her finger to her lips, and with a smile bade me look through the glass partition.
Okay, that's it. Now the boys have told him that you can visit the village and we'll not take very long. We'll be back in an hour. So now the narrator has followed the two boys because he's curious where they are going, right? So he found a grilled side entrance and he rang the bell. Now there was a pleasant looking woman who was dressed in a white uniform of a trained nurse. Okay, now he's asking the woman that I just brought two small boys here. So her face lit up and she said, "Ah, yes, Nicola and Jacopo, I'll take you up to them." Okay, so she led him through a vestibule. Vestibule means a lobby. Okay, a gallery or a lobby, which was leading into a hospital. Now, a hospital which was earlier a villa. The villa has turned into a hospital now. Now she has taken him to a cubicle, and now she's telling him to put the fingers on his lips, because when you visit a patient, you need to be quiet, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now we'll pause here. We'll come to the exercise. Okay, first. We'll solve
Okay.
the exercise, then we'll go back to the theory. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Based on your reading of the story, answer the following questions by ticking the correct options. The driver did not approve of the narrator buying fruit from the two boys because,
Because the boys were untidy and poorly dressed.
yes. Okay, the narrator was most impressed by the boys. Which
Uh,
boys?
um, Willingness to work or desire to earn money.
No, no, willingness to work.
Willingness to work.
Okay. Nicola was not pleased when Jacopo asked the narrator to drive them to Poleta, as he,
Do not want to ask anyone for favors.
okay, he didn't want to ask any favors. The narrator did not go inside Lucia's room as,
Uh, uh, he did not want to intrude into their privacy.
okay, he didn't want to intrude their privacy, although we haven't read this paragraph, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Now we'll come to the next part. What do you understand by the following statements? Now, what are the statements? We do many things, sir.
Ma'am, where are you exactly?
Page number 9. Sorry. Yeah, page 9. Fifth part. Fifth question number 5. A part. We do many things, sir. Nicola answered seriously. He
Yeah.
glanced at us hopefully. So, what do you understand by the following statement?
Um,
That one of the brothers is telling the narrator that we do a lot of things.
uh, when Nicola told that he did many things, he meant like he shined people's shoes or hawked newspapers or um, helped the tourists to explore the towns to Juliet's tomb and more.
Okay. So we do many things. This means that the boy is telling the narrator that how many odd jobs they do to earn money, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, he colored deeply under his sunburn, then grew pale. We just read this line.
Uh, Wait, ma'am.
Why the boy has turned pale?
Uh, it's. I think it's because that the narrator asked him, saying, when the narrator asked him, what does he do with his money? I think Nicola didn't want to tell him about his personal problems.
Correct.
Or
The narrator is investigating that you do so many jobs, you must be earning well, then what do you do with your money? Now he is insisting on the boys to tell him their plans, but they don't want to, right? Nicola doesn't want to reveal what their plans are, what where do they spend their money. That's why he has grew pale.
yeah,
Okay, any doubt?
no, ma'am.
Okay. Next. He smiled uncomfortably. Just plans, sir, he answered in a low voice.
I think it's because that the narrator asked him a personal question, and asked him again like what plans, but Nicola didn't want to tell him what exactly was his plans, as he was just a stranger, I think.
Yeah, that's why he was getting uncomfortable with the narrator asking questions to them. Yet,
Yes.
both these boyish faces, there was a seriousness which was far beyond their years.
um,
What do you understand by this statement?
Even though they are happy, they witness something that that was they witnessed something serious, that very serious, that was years ago. uh,
Although they were two young boys with very childish and but still there was a persistent seriousness on their faces, which the narrator has spotted. And that seriousness was like a very mature person. Okay, as if
yes.
it was on the face of a very old or a mature person. Now, an underlying seriousness which was far beyond their years. This means that there was some underlying secret, some problem which they were going through. They were disturbed by something due to which they were they had that serious face. But they didn't want it to show it to anyone. They were hiding their problem, that seriousness. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we'll continue with the theory. Para 38, right? I hope, yeah, please turn on your mic.
Yes, ma'am, it's
I hope
para
the
38.
way we are studying the chapter, you're fine with that.
What, ma'am?
I hope you're fine with the way we are studying the chapter. Reading,
Yes, ma'am, I'm okay with the chapter, it's good.
okay, okay, all right. Para 38, right?
Yes. uh, the two boys were seated at the bedside of a girl of about 20 who, propped up on pillows, wearing a pretty lace jacket, was listening to their chatter, her eyes soft and tender. One could see at a glance her resemblance to her brothers. A vase of wild flowers stood on a table, beside a dish of fruit and several books. "Won't you go in?" the nurse murmured. "Lucia will be pleased to see you." I shook my head and turned away. I felt I could not bear to intrude upon this happy family party. But at the foot of the staircase, I drew up and begged her to tell me all she knew about these boys.
Okay,
She
now
was,
what happened? Now the nurse has took him to the cubicle in which the two boys were. So what has he spotted there? That there were the two boys sitting beside a girl who's about in her 20s, means she's very young, right? So the narrator is describing her appearance. So in para 38, Lucia's appearance is being described, right?
ma'am.
So you can mark these paras, you can just tick or put a star there because they are very important for the character sketches.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
there's a girl propped up on pillows. She's taking the help of pillows to sit straight. She's wearing a pretty lace jacket. Now the narrator is listening to the chatter of the two boys with the girl. Now there was a vase of wild flowers beside her table, a basket of fruits, and several books. The nurse told him that you should go inside, the girl would be happy to see you. But he didn't want it to go because why did he stop himself from going inside?
Because he didn't want to interrupt the happy family moment.
Yeah, he didn't want it to interrupt the happy family moment. He didn't want it to invade the privacy. But he begged the nurse to tell him whatever she knew about the two boys, right? Because
Yes, ma'am.
he wanted to know what the story is. Okay,
Yes.
41.
Uh, yeah, she was eager to do so. They were, she explained, quite alone in the world, except for this sister, Lucia. Their father, a widower, a well known singer, had been killed in the early part of the war. Shortly afterward, a bomb had destroyed their home and had thrown the three children into the streets. They had always known a comfortable and cultured life. Lucia had herself been training as a singer, and they had suffered horribly from near starvation and exposure to the cold winter. For
Now,
months,
the nurse has started telling him the story that what was their past. They are all alone in the world, these three siblings. Why? Because their mother had already died, and his father, who was a very well known singer, he died in a war. So they were
yes,
left all alone in this world, the three siblings. Their father was an established singer, so they always had a very comfortable, luxurious life,
yes,
very comfortable and a cultured life. Okay, means they had all the amenities that were required to lead a good life. But since they were left all alone, their father died, their house was bombed in the war, they were thrown out on the streets. So they faced near starvation and exposure to cold winter. They became very poor and all alone in the world, right? Now, she is also told that Lucia herself was training as a singer. Okay,
yes,
so Lucia was a singer, under training. Now,
yeah.
para 42.
For months, they had barely kept themselves alive in a sort of shelter they built with their own hands amidst the rubble. Then, for 3 years, the Germans ruled the cities. The the boys grew to hate the Germans. Wait, ma'am. The boys grew to hate the Germans. When the resistance movement began secretly to form, they were among the first to join. When the war was over and we had peace at last, they came back to their beloved sister, and they found her suffering from tuberculosis of the spine. She paused, took a quick breath. Did they give up? I do not have an answer to that question. They brought her here, persuaded us to take her into the hospital. In the 12 months she has been our patient, she has made good progress. There is every hope that one day she will walk and sing again.
Okay, now she has continued with the story that for months they were left alone. They barely kept them alive. They had built a home themselves in the own. They had built a house with their own hands amidst the rubble. Rubble means when a war is taking place, there are all destruction going on. So it's broken stones and bricks. Okay,
Yes,
so they had made a shelter for themselves. Then for 3 years, Germans ruled the country. The boys hated the Germans. Then the resistance movement began against Germans. The boys were the first ones to join. And then when the war was over and at last there was peace, they came back home to their beloved sister and they got to know that she was suffering from tuberculosis of the spine, due to which she was bedridden. She could not walk. Okay?
yes.
So continue.
Of course, everything is so difficult now. Food so, food so scarce, and dear, we could not keep going unless we charged a fee. But every week, Lucia's brothers have made their payment. She added simply, I don't know what they do. I do not ask. Work is scarce in Verona, but whatever it is, I know they do it well. Yes, I agreed. They couldn't do it better.
Okay. Now
Uh,
she has continued with the story that they brought their sister to the hospital, and she has been the patient there for 12 months and she's making good progress. There is hope that she will recover, she'll walk and sing again one day, right? Now,
yes,
everything is difficult. Food is scarce. Scarce means something which is not enough, something which is less. quantity. Okay.
Yes.
Now we cannot keep going without we charge a fee. We cannot treat her for free, right? We need some
Yes.
money to run the hospital, but every week her brothers make the payment on time. Okay. Now the nurse is telling the narrator that she do not ask what they do, how they do, but whatever they do it well because they are making
Yes.
the payments on time. Now the narrator is saying that yes, I agree. They are doing very better, right?
Yes.
Next.
Um, I waited outside until the boys rejoined me, then drove them back to the city. They sat beside me, not speaking. For my part, I did not say a word. I knew they would prefer to feel that they had safely kept their secret. Yet the devotion had touched me deeply. War had not broken their spirit. Their selfless action brought a new nobility to human life, gave promise of a greater hope for human society.
Now the narrator waited outside very patiently. He didn't tell the boys that he had he now knows the story. Okay, so the boys kept very quietly when they were driving back to the city. And so as the narrator, he also kept quiet. He played his part because the boys wanted to the boys were preferring that they had not revealed their secret, and so the narrator kept quiet. He did not reveal to the boys that he now knows the secret, but he was very deeply touched by the boys' hard work and their selfless nature towards their sister. Okay, all right. So with this, the chapter is completed, and I hope you understood it in a better way now
I did,
because
ma'am.
it's now the second time that you have gone through the chapter, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So today we'll keep it up till here only. In the next session, we continue with the questions that are there in your text. All right.
Yes.
Okay. So is there any doubt that you want to ask?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Anything which you didn't understood in today's session?